Okay, so a pleasant day to everyone. So for today, i-discuss natin ang Module 1B ng Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics, which includes sociology. Okay, so previously we talked about anthropology. So for today, we're talking about sociology. By the way, disclaimer, I'm not a sociologist by nature. Di rin ako expert, as in super expert sa sociology, but I would be discussing based on what I understand as a teacher and based on what I studied. Okay? So, nothing super intricate. Okay? For overview purposes lang muna to. Okay, so sociology, our learning competency is to discuss the nature, goals, and perspective in or of sociology. Learning objectives explain the nature of sociology, understand the goals and perspectives of sociology, and apply knowledge of sociology in everyday life. Okay? So before we start with sociology, if you still remember last time, we were talking about anthropology and we are talking about the study of the human being and their ancestors in various subfields, considering the physical, environmental, cultural, linguistic, and even applied aspect. Okay, so we're talking about the human person. Okay, per se. In sociology, on the other hand, sociology is a social science that studies man not as an individual but in the context of how he relates with others in a group, needing other people to survive and vice versa. So um, this part can use the saying "no man is an island" as an example, since in sociology we're talking about how people interact with other people, how they need other people to survive. So sa sociology, tinitingnan natin kung paano namumuhay ang isang tao kasama ng iba bilang isang grupo. Okay? So nature and scope of sociology. So sociology as a field of study is concerned with the study of people in a group or social context, not as isolated individuals. So again, as I've mentioned, inaaral mo siya as as a part of a whole. Kung paano siya gumagalaw dun sa grupong yon. It promises to help man understand what is happening in him in relation to his environment and why certain social phenomena occur. So, kung paano siya gumalaw dun sa environment niya, kung ano nangyayari sa kanya, at yung mga specific na mga pangyayaring social or social social events or social phenomenon, bakit sila nangyayari. Sociology also explain yung kung bakit ganun makitungo yung tao sa iba't ibang mga individuals and what could possibly be the influence or the cause of their behavior. Sociology is a body of related generalization about human social behavior which were taken into account using scientific methods. Okay? So you're trying to generalize why people act that way in groups and they're, these are being studied using scientific methods. Okay? Goals of sociology first is to obtain possible theories and principles about society as well as various aspects of social life. So yung anything, yung mga theories, principles na nag-govern sa social life na individual, we're trying to identify them, critically study the nature of humanity, which also leads to examining our roles in the society. So ano yung mga roles ng tao as well as the nature of humanity. Appreciate that all things in society are interdependent with each other. So lahat tayo, we exist because of other people as well. Interdependent, that means one is dependent sa isa. So they both are dependent to each other. So without the other person, the person would not survive. Okay? No man is an island, diba? I don't know if you could try this, but if you try living alone, I don't know how will you survive. Okay? An individual's personal history is connected to his or her environment's history, which is also tied into the nation's history. So if we're going to check, it starts from the person's history, then it will be connected to his environment history, and then it will affect the overall nation's history. So everything's tied up. We're connected to each other. Okay. So branches, we have social organization, social psychology, applied sociology, population studies, human ecology, sociological theory and research, and social change. Okay. So for social organization, this includes the study of social institutions, social inequality, social mobility, religious groups, and bureaucracy. We're talking about groups, okay? We're talking about um, institutions. We're studying them as they become a breeding ground or a fertile ground for human interaction and even development of human behavior. So yun yung social institutions like schools, ganon, um, pwede ring mga offices, but we are also considering social inequality, hindi pagkakapantay-pantay, social mobility, transferring from one class to another, yung movement in general, religious groups, you know this already, and the bureaucracy, or yung mga iba't ibang ahensya na nagpe-play ng significant role, okay, sa isang organization or sa isang society. The social psychology focuses on the study of human nature and its emphasis on social processes as they affect individual or responses which are called social stimuli. So may pagpasok ng psychology dito, we are considering the human nature and how the social processes get to impact ang isang particular na tao considering the social stimuli. Whether you admit it or not, it's shape tayo, yung identity natin bilang tao, shape tayo ng society natin, ng kung ano sinasabi sa atin ng mga tao sa paligid natin. You won't be who you are right now without the people surrounding you, whether you accept it or not. Whether you tell me that I'm not like them, you became like that because of them. Because of them. Like, even if you're not exactly the same, they have an impact on who you are at the moment. Okay? Applied sociology, this is concerned with the specific intent of yielding practical applications for human behavior and organizations. So, the goal of applied sociology is to assist in resolving social problems through the use of sociological research. If you remember your practical research, if you remember our anthropology, when we have the word applied as the modifier, we are referring to the solving of problems, applying solutions. Okay. So in this case, there is the intent of applying the concepts for us to solve social problems. Okay. But definitely it won't be that easy. Okay. Population studies, on the other hand, include the size, growth, demographic characteristics, composition, migration changes, quality vis-a-vis economic, political, and social systems. We're talking about studying how is the growth rate, what's the GDP at some point, how's the migration, people in general. We're still talking about people in groups, okay? But we're talking about the population in general, okay? Human ecology, on the other hand, pertains to the study of the effects of various social organizations like religious organization, political institutions, and etc. Okay, to the population's behavior. Okay, so in that case, we are considering how these groups, how these institutions, which are already established, affect individuals as well as the population's behavior. Whether we admit it or not, there are really very powerful social organizations that they affect people in a massive number of people without them even doing it. So that's for human ecology. Okay, and then we also have sociological theory and research, which focuses on the discovery of theoretical tools and methods for uh, for identifying, explaining sociological issues scientifically. So more on researching, examining, looking into the uh, problems or issues and using research to address this na nag-lead na dun sa applied aspect or applied sociology. And then we also have social change. It studies factors that cause social organization and social disorganization, like, for example, calamity, drug abuse, drastic and gradual social change, health and welfare problems, political instability, unemployment, underemployment, child and women's issue, etc. So these are these are factors, these are like impetus that causes organization or even perhaps disorganization. Okay? So we could consider the pandemic as one agent of social change as everything became different, totally different for us. And hopefully after everything after everything has happened, babalik din sa normal. Okay? So guide questions, what is sociology? So generally it's talking about how humans deal with their environment and not it does not study the human alone. Okay? Tinitignan niya kung paano nag-act ang tao sa paligid niya. Why is understanding of sociology important? Because you're correct. You get to understand why people behave that way and then describe the characteristics of the group you belong. So you have to answer this na lang. For me, the group I belong, faculty on uh, we are teachers. We have to accomplish our tasks. We are expected to behave well. We are expected to be role images of good individuality. We are expected to be perfect at least or almost perfect because we are teachers. So there, and that affects us as an individual. Okay, so we have the sociological perspectives. I like this part because I think this is very important. Okay, so we have symbolic interactionism, functionalism, and conflict theory. Okay, symbolic interactionism, this view uses symbols and face-to-face interaction. It generalizes how about fundamental or everyday forms of social interaction. These underscores the importance of your day-to-day or daily transactions with other people and how the symbols are important in the process of interacting with each other. I could consider the use of language and other codes as an important feature, some point for symbolic interactionism, and the interaction per se would not transpire without the symbols. Okay, so that's symbolic interactionism. We also have functionalism. Okay, functionalism. According to this theory, each aspect of society is interdependent. There's the word again, interdependent. Okay, and contributes to society's functioning as a whole. Okay, so let's try to give an example. Okay, so for example, consider your class. Usually in your class, meron kayong class president, secretary, vice president, sergeant at arms, etc. So each of those officers have their role. Okay, even the members or the regular students have their role in the class for the class to be successful. Okay, kung ano man yung konteksto, kung ano man yung gustong ma-achieve ng class. So, if the class officers would not survive without the class officers would remain useless without the class itself, without the classmates, the regular students. And the students also need the class officers for them to be organized. So in that case, we function. Okay, bawat individual, bawat officer. Okay, same goes with the society. Okay, may function ang bawat aspect ng society. Okay, we have the government, we have the people, we have the market, etc. Kailangan lahat yon. Okay, so kailangan lahat yan para mag-function ng society as a whole. Okay? Even the bad ones are needed because those are the reasons why the society functions, right? Good, bad, whether rich, poor, middle class, those all have functions in the society. Okay. Then we also have the conflict theory that there is competition for scarce resources and how the elite control the poor and the weak. That the conflict or tension between competing groups enables one to better comprehend social behavior. Yes, that's correct. That there, as the competition arises, as the tension arises, you get to see how people would operate, would act on the particular situation, revealing the social behavior that they have. It is mentioned here that there would always be the conflict, there would always be contrasting views, there would always be the competition, not only for scarce resources and for other things. And from there, you get to know the kind of behavior that people have. Okay? Siguro I could discuss a particular experiment that was done in psychology in another video to further elaborate the conflict theory. Okay, and then these are the references. Okay, so in general, in sociology, we're talking about the man, not as an individual, but as a part of a group, how he relates in that group, and how he tries to deal with these people to survive. Okay, so we're going away from anthropology already because anthropology zeroes in on the human being kasi. But for sociology, you consider the context. You consider other people as well. Okay, so I hope you understand. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.